Hi everyone, today we'll explain you how to find a volume of a cone. But first you need to remember that a volume is the measure of space taken up by a solid object, or it's a 3D figure, or a three-dimensional figure. Another thing that you need to remember is to identify the diameter and the radius, because remember, a cone, the base of a cone is a circle. So what you have to do first is to identify if the cone has a diameter or a radius. Remember, the diameter is the whole line when you join, for example, one point in the circumference to another point in the circumference, and the radius goes from the center to one point of the circumference. That means, for example, if your diameter is 19, your radius is going to be 9.5. If your diameter is 20, your radius is going to be 10. The parts of a cone are a radius centered to one point in the circumference. We have the altitude, or we call height, the vertex with when you join the two slant heights that we have here. So remember, radius, which is in the base, and the altitude, and the vertex, or the slant height. So the formula to get the volume of a cube is pi radius to the second power. Remember, radius to the second power means that you're going to multiply the radius twice, or it's a radius times radius, multiplied by the altitude, and then when you finish with this multiplication, you are going to divide by 3. Remember, the value for pi is 3.14. Here I have some examples. We have this cone with a radius 2 and altitude 8. The first step is to copy the formula to get the formula for volume of cone. Then we are going to replace values. Remember, the value for pi is 3.14. Then the radius in this case is 2 inches. So what you have to do is to copy the 2 inches here to the second power, and then the altitude, which is 8, and we copy divided by 3. After this step, you need to remember to multiply the radius twice. In this case, I'm going to use a point to represent the multiplication. Remember, this point represents the multiplication. Then after this, we are going to multiply 2 times 2, which is 4. We have a 4 here, and we are going to have a 4 multiplied 3.14 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 8. Then when you do this multiplication, you are going to have times 8, you got a value of 100.48. Then this 104.48 you need to divide by 3, and you are going to get a value of 33. Give me a moment. 33.49. In this case, we are working with the unit inches, so it's going to be inches to the cube power. Remember, the volume is always to the cube power, and this is the volume of this cone. Now in this one we have 8 inches. As you can see, this is the diameter, so that means that the radius is 4. So what you have to do first is to copy the formula here, and then we are going to substitute values. So we put, remember, P is 3.14, then we have the radius, which is 4. Remember, it's 4 because here we have diameter, so diameter divided by 2 is radius. And then the altitude, which is 12. Then what you have to do is to multiply, remember, 4 to the second, which is 4 multiplied by 4. So we copy 4 multiplied by 4 here, and we are going to then to multiply 3.14 times 16 times 12. 3.14, remember, 4 times 4, which is 16, and then we have multiplied by 12. So finally you are going to have 600.88. When you multiply 3.14 times 16 times 12, you are going to get 602.88 88 divided by 3. And when you divide 602 divided by 3, you are going to get 200.96, and this is going to be inches to the cube power, and this is going to be the volume or the amount of space that this cone take in a space in specific. Remember, when we put radius to the second power, that means that you need to multiply the radius twice, or it's a 4 times 4. If your radius is 5, you are going to multiply 5 times 5. If your radius is 3, 3 times 3, and then you multiply by 3.14 and by the altitude, which is this vertical line that we have in a cone. Remember, diameter and radius. It's so important to identify the diameter